Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Bree.
Half a
Morning, Jace.
day.
Half a day.
Well, what
Very
time is
good
it? Where
morning
you at?
today.
It's a nice sunset going on.
Uh, I don't know, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Well,
So true.
Senator, I guess we'll just go ahead and start with your reaction to the press conference and some of the pronouncements that were made relative to reopening tourism May 1st.
Well, first off, I didn't watch the whole thing. I had to go into another meeting. However, what I did catch with, I guess now the plan. What is it now? Path to half.
Yeah.
I'm so confused now with so many different
Strive
I
for
guess
five, path to half,
yeah.
You're the victim, not the
um
vector.
victim, not the vector. Uh,
yeah,
what was the one
so
with the Carabao?
Kiko the Carabao.
Yeah, I protect you, you protect me. There's been a lot of little messages during this pandemic. We're right now, what
exactly.
is it? Something
Path
You
to
know,
half.
path to half. You have to say over your Chamorro
path,
accent.
yeah,
Path to
path
half.
to half. Okay. And listening to that, I'm first off, encouraged that there is, a plan trying to get to a certain place at a certain time, and spelling out what different responsibilities will be, and how we'll get there. Um, it's more encouraging news than what we've had before. In that, it was like, well, if we don't do this, we're gonna go down the path of doom. Now it's, if we're able to do this, we'll, at least we'll get to half. Um, I guess I was watching it with staff, and one of the comments from staff was, okay, we're going to open it up to tourism, but we're going to keep it closed for the community. So there was some confusion there, and maybe over the next couple of weeks, this path to half, will become a little clearer. And so. Uh, I'm still, and as I was in the informational brief that we had with I guess public health, and the group that puts together, I guess, the vaccination schedules and stuff, is the process, and the goal of getting, I guess, path to half is much different from liberate Guam. Um,
Are we still
but
doing Liberate Guam?
I I thought we were, the whole part was to
No. See, Senator, what it is we can only liberate Guam if we walk on the path to half.
oh, okay. So there's where, we're
The
trying to
path
make,
to
I'm
half
trying to
is
make,
paved with good intentions.
okay. So what was liberate Guam? And okay,
Achieve herd
it wasn't
immunity
that.
by
Liberation
July
Day.
21st.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And so, if that's what we were to achieve, I would have appreciated if there was more clarity. And all right, we've already got liberate Guam, and even at liberate Guam, we're already running into some issues with, I guess, the number of vaccinations that will be necessary, or the number of people to be vaccinated, will to be necessary to get to liberate Guam. It was 70% of the adult population. It's again, I think it's something. Okay, right? Put it down on paper. Let's do some comparison, and let's see where we're at. That's it. Okay, putting partisan politics aside and everything. I think we all want to strive, uh, to get to a sense of new normalcy. We have to figure out what that is now. We still have to, of course, what he said: wear the mask, wash the hands, and watch the distance. Um, so, I'm from the standpoint of legislature. I think that one of the things uh, I'm going to continue to focus on is, okay, do we have the resources to get there? Where's the funding going? I think that I love to see in this path to half and this liberate Guam is, okay, how's the money being spent? Where are we with the finances? Because there is, the other side of of this fence here that we need to get to. And is the grass going to be greener on the other side, or is there going to be any grass at all as a result of everything that we're doing here? And so it's I understand the whole need to address the medical issue, to address the public health issue. I continue to support them on that. I continue to advocate for that. However, I also have to be concerned about where the money's going. Okay, show me the money. Okay, you want to put another one? Show me the money. Show me where it's going to go. We've heard plan after plan after plan. Two things. One is, what are the details of the plan? And if you take no action on, there's no sense in having a plan of action if you're not going to take action on a plan, and if you're not going to stick to it. So that's where I'm at.
Right. And then I feel like there's a lot of intangibles that we're kind of ignoring, maybe, by setting this May 1st reopening of tourism date. I mean, every time we've seen during this pandemic that we set a firm date, we've had to throw it away because of, surges or whatever. But one thing I was kind of thinking about was we haven't gotten the results back from the CDC on the variant.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I was going to say that.
And yet here we are. We're just announcing we're going to open. We don't even know.
The same thing. From Dr. Mike Cruz, and his I guess hope that we do all the variants are here and that we are still already dealing with the variants. However, test results that were submitted to CDC 2 months ago, still are around, and so, I don't know if we can blame or we should blame, any one person, any one entity, or any process. It's that, wow, if you're waiting for something that significant and it's taking 2 months, let's just pray and let's hope that information is sent to us today, or real soon within the week, so that we can continue, so that we can plan for this.
Maybe
I just can't imagine.
Maybe
I can't imagine that we're going to continue to go down this road, and then we find out, okay, no, now we don't have the variants, or we now have the variant, and it's a new, I guess, part of this emergency that we have to deal with.
Maybe we can go bring some cookies to the CDC.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. They're in Georgia, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in Georgia. We'll just stop by Marjorie Taylor Greene's home office in her district and then go to the CDC with a guard contingent. Yeah. Huh? What?
Yeah. And with the flag, and with the flag. Yeah. It's already been touted by several other people that this is one of the most beautiful flags in the world. Right. So let's just show it to her.
We did get a hold of the governor's, I guess she gets these talking points, Bree? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Was I supposed to say that?
I messaged Crystal about what exactly is the Path to Half plan, if we could get a copy of it.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is just kind of a summary of what the governor revealed and announced during yesterday's press conference regarding the reopening plan and this path to half. So,
so they have a Guam members of a panel to discuss travel reopening that includes Sam Shinahara, Ben Ferguson, Art St. Augustine Public Health Director, State Surgeon Cell Head Dr. Mike Cruz, former Governor Gutierrez, and also leadership from the airport, GVB, and GHRA. And so here's what Path to Half is, guys, in case you missed it. If we can fully vaccinate 50% of our adult population 16 years or older by May 1st, we will reopen our borders. 62,500 vaccinations is our target. What does travel reopening mean? It simply means that we'll make adjustments to our quarantine requirements. What does this look like? Wow, this is pretty neat how they dumb it down.
This is an exemption process to government and home self-quarantine. If someone, whether resident or non-resident, whether from the U.S. or otherwise, enters Guam with a negative PCR test 72 hours prior to arrival, they can avoid quarantine, both government and home and self-quarantine, but they must download the COVID Alert app and must enroll in the Sarah Alert for 14 days. If they do not have the negative test, they will follow our current protocol. In other words, they will go to government quarantine. Our plan is also contingent upon knowing that the COVID-19 variants do not escape the vaccine.
Here we go. Here's my favorite. How does this path to half differ from Operation Liberate Guam? Our ultimate goal in Operation Liberate Guam is still to fully vaccinate 80% of the adult population by July 21st. The goal of fully vaccinating 50% by May 1st was a threshold designed to adjust travel quarantine requirements. We still have a lot of preparation. We need to ensure these goals are met before reopening, but we need to prepare now. Part of our initiative is to ensure industry workers are vaccinated and protected. Robust testing protocol for industry workers is necessary. And the Island-wide Beautification Task Force is coordinating with GVB to clean up our island. Well, it's funny, GHRA had a whole proposal to do exactly this a few months ago that was ignored.
Exactly.
Yeah. So who's taking notes and making up their own titles now?
And Chris, another thing is okay. We're going to open it up, so we can ease the travel restrictions. But it's ease the travel restrictions for who? I appreciate that we want to ease it for people, for repatriation, or for people who are currently not on island, left island. I want to come home, and need to come home because they've got business or family affairs that they have to continue to tend to. However, when you say you're going to open it up to tourism, how is still this going to look like? Is this okay? Let's go to Guam now because the island is 50% vaccinated. And they've got all these other things. Where are they going to go when you've still got businesses that are still going to be closed? Many people still out of work. Only half of the people vaccinated. And how safe are you going to be? Are these protocols? Is this going to be acceptable now to bring in the tourists? And even at that, I don't venture, and even through their own admittance, I don't venture that this is going to be something where we're going to have hordes of tourists going to finally come back to Guam because they need an escape from where they're at. It's going to be more so, little pods or little pods of sets of tourists that are going to be coming in that is not going to really do much in as far as helping the economy, other than it's starting to come up and they're going to test the waters. So again, saying that though is it's a lot better than the doom and gloom type conversations that we would normally have, of course. Yeah. So. Doris.
So you still have some questions, in other words.
So yeah, there are some questions, and hopefully over the next couple of weeks, it's something that will be clarified even more.
So we're still liberating Guam, but meanwhile we're on the path to half. We're going to try and vaccinate half of our population by May 1st, and then by Liberation Day, we're anticipating hopefully adding another 20% onto that 50% that we're supposed to achieve by May 1st, therefore liberating Guam. Got it?
Yeah, it's...
It also kind of takes me back to what was discussed yesterday with Dr. Hoa, because remember he was saying that it's part of the reason that they would want to switch how they determine herd immunity would be based on first dose numbers as opposed to fully vaccinated numbers.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. So he was basically saying that, and that once you get the first shot, you're just as protected against the virus as you are if you got one shot of Johnson and
Right.
Johnson. And so they basically want to start counting people who have just got the first shot towards like the vaccination total, I guess.
In determining herd immunity. And he was saying
Right.
that if we do
that
that, then
I
by
believe that
May
it's gonna sit.
1,
I wish I could have done that in school, turn in like half my assignment and been like, no, we're good. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Or the alternative.
I'll turn in the other half.
Alternative answer. One plus one does equal three.
Yeah, I put in some follow-up questions to Crystal to figure out is that what they're planning on doing is
Well, that would
is,
definitely accelerate the path to half.
Yeah, well, when you look at the numbers, it's already at 62,000.
Yeah, it's about 62,000 right now.
Yeah.
And then about 38 or 39,000 that are fully vaccinated. And so
29,000 fully vaccinated, 33,000 first dose, 62,800 have been vaccinated. So the 62,000 is total vaccinations, 33 is first dose, 29,000 is fully vaccinated.
and therein lies the question that I continue to have, because in my briefing that we had with public health, they were expecting a total of about close to 80,000 vaccinations, but that was inclusive. I mean, that was just the doses. That was inclusive of the second doses for people. So if you were going to do the Pfizer, the Moderna, you need the 2 shots. Do the simple math. 80,000 is 40, which means that at the end of the day, you only have 40,000 fully vaccinated individuals. So for us to get to 50%, much less the 80% necessary for Liberate Guam, my question was, okay, what are the processes, or what are we doing now so that we can ensure that other than the allocated or what we anticipate to be the 80,000, we are obviously going to need a little bit more. If you want to get to 100,000, we're probably going to need about close to maybe 100,000 more vaccines, because if you're going to divide that by 2, 50,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So, we could get close to there. That's of course another conversation, and something that I know that they're working. I'm hoping that they're working on a daily basis to be able to get to this.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still a lot of unanswered questions, but I'm glad that now they're going toward questions on a plan that goes opposite of the doom conversations that we were so used to and so regularly having.
Mm-hmm. And I did get a response from Crystal. It's fully vaccinated, so it doesn't appear that they're going to go
so
with
they are listening. Okay.
Fully, not halfly.
not first dose.
Okay, got it.
Towards counted towards herd immunity.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Senator, as a comment from Mary Beth Torres. When will they stop the mandatory quarantine at GovGuam facilities and let returning residents quarantine at home? This has kind of been a big point of contention for a lot of people, but the public health leaders have continued to hold up quarantine, the very expensive quarantine, as one of the ways that we've been able to get to where we are today.
Yeah, and I think from my understanding, that was the goal that we were trying to get to by May. And the other thing that we need to understand, and a lot of times we get marred in this conversation. The conversation always is, okay, well, we got to work about. They're not thinking about the economy. They're not thinking about the money. They don't, and they're not. Public health officials are thinking about getting us through this public health crisis. They've got the direction. Surely in a emergency management structure, you've got different entities that are responsible for the operations of it, the logistics, the finance of it, the administration of it, and what public health is tasked to do here doesn't fit in that. Well, you know what? We got to worry about the money, and so I understand that. That said, though, there still has to be a group that says, okay, how are we going to fund all this? Where's this going to come from, and how, what's going to happen at the end of this? Where are we going to be at fiscally or financially? And there is where my focus on is, okay, we want to make sure that public health has all the resources and the tools and the finances necessary to do this. But, let's be honest, you got your businesses are closed, you've got no revenue, even just the previous stimulus package, the tax gains that we were supposed to get weren't realized. We're $12 million in the hole. We anticipate to be about $80 million by the end of the fiscal year. I hate to go from a public health emergency now to a fiscal emergency, and it just continues. So that's the area that I need to continue to focus on.
Let's switch gears a little bit on this oversight, Guam Police Department. But I wanted to kind of start because there was a story that we did yesterday about the public safety oversight chair's son being arrested for. Let me pop that up real quick.
Or spotlighting.
Spotlighting, right? Yeah,
him and another individual.
But what was to me more concerning was that. They got him with a firearm and no firearms ID, and when you look at the rap sheet, I mean, there's a few charges like that, and it's quite a lengthy rap sheet. So I would just venture to say that it looks like the oversight chair's son has a lot of experience with public safety, but on the wrong side of it. But I mean, with the granddaughter and the accident, and Joey Terlahi, it just seems like one thing after another. With the oversight chair. So at what point do we kind of say, this is just really a lot of conflict and almost too much trouble? Because, I mean, people are talking about it, Senator, and I know you're in a difficult spot as the vice chair of this committee where you don't want to, naysay the oversight chair has been so gracious. But that's the kind of situation we've created, is that because Senator Pito is so conflicted with his son being involved in a lot of these allegations, that he has had to basically deputize Senator Frank Blas Jr. to conduct his oversight hearings for him, which is the same thing we saw in the last term with Senator Pito as the public safety chair with the Department of Corrections, right? They had to bring in former Vice Speaker Talina Nelson to conduct those oversight hearings. So I'm just saying, I don't know what the Democrats were thinking if they didn't foresee these kind of, troubling conflicts of interest, because it's kind of been like a perfect storm too. As we already know that Joey Terlahi was named, but then for these other family members of the good senator to be called into question and thrust in the spotlight, and not in a positive way, I just got to ask. I mean, at what point do we kind of say, hey, maybe we give this to someone else?
Well, and I think that's why, first off, Senator Pito Terlahi, I'm sure he's going through a lot of stress right now. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's very difficult. And as with any parent, you trying to separate your personal and your professional life, and want to stand by the side of your children. It becomes very difficult. And for that, I think that's why he had relinquished his responsibility, or the responsibility of conducting oversight in some things this similar into the corruption. That's why he turned it over to me. That's it. Then what is my role? And my role has got to stay within the bounds of, first off, what the oversight is, or what we intend, or what we want to accomplish in this oversight. And I think that what I'm going to focus on is the processes. Not so much the personalities or the incidents, the alleged incidents. And I say alleged incidents because we're dealing now into an area where, it's already in a judicial process, whether it be in the district court or in the local courts. There is a process that's going that includes possibly an ongoing investigation. And the last thing you want to be is to try to force individuals to talk about something that's still active, and that this information or this process can actually mar the judicial process. And I don't want to be, nor do I want to put my colleagues or other people involved that are going to be there to be in that position and to be in that well, it's going to be a predicament because then we could ultimately turn into either witnesses or there could be this whole thing about obstruction or tampering, and I don't want to go down that road. So I'm gonna stick to the processes. What are those processes? What are those issues in these processes? And how can the legislature help you so that we can improve these processes if there needs to be improvement? And then also somewhat like informational is okay. I've been there. I've done that. I've investigated cops. I've dealt with. I've had to deal with corruption. I've arrested police officers, and so I know the process that's necessary. I've dealt with joint investigations where other agencies are the lead as opposed to GPD, and what those boundaries or what those restrictions are. A lot of times in being able to share the information for purposes of this is still an active investigation. I've been involved in investigations that have taken well over 7 years to be able to complete. And these were active investigations. So I know the frustrations, I know the concerns. A lot of times when now we've got the media or the public or the community clamoring, to learn more about this. But how does that help in the pursuit of justice? Because at the end of the day, when it goes to court and everything, what we want to do is we want to make sure that you put away the bad guys. And remember, in law enforcement, just screw up once and that's it, you lost the whole case. And we can't afford that.
Is the oversight hearing tomorrow, what specifically will it focus on? I know you talked about, the policies, but is it going to be related to what happened in district court and that's it? Or is it going to also deal with some of the other stuff that's been happening at GPD regarding the crash?
I'm going to first deal with the process. Yeah. I'm going to first deal with the process. How does the Guam Police Department deal with allegations? And the allegations come in different, come from different sources. One is basically direct to the police department, through a citizen complaint and whatnot. As a result of an investigation that, going down this one direction, then you find information about this. Okay, that's another one. Or in a joint investigation where you're working collaboratively with another agency and either be customs and quarantine, Department of Agriculture, or a federal agency, and you're participating in an active joint like a task force type, like a relationship, and then how does it deal with information received that appears to be official or is official because it was mentioned in court, but GPD had no knowledge of it. So what do you do then, and how do you handle it? I think that's going to be necessary so that we can first off understand. I know that one of the conservative views is that once GPD gets the information, they sweep it on the rug or they don't do anything about it. Well, the truth of the matter is, in some cases, let's take the FBI, the court case, involving an FBI case. If it was revealed in the court, in testimony that several police officers are involved, and this is from testimony. What can GPD do about it? Well, let's take this was a case that was conducted by a federal entity, in this case the FBI, and they possibly didn't share the information with GPD because when you're dealing with individuals, from another entity, sometimes there is that trust and confidence factor, but there's also that investigative integrity factor that you come in. Was this testimony information that is part of a continuing investigation? And what can GPD do with this thing? There's no obligation on the part of the FBI to tell GPD what's going on. and they have to let the chips fall where they may. That said, yeah, I know the community says, well, in the meantime, we've got corrupt cops out there. But then we also got to recognize we live in a society, in a community where you're innocent until proven guilty. And it's that proving that guilt that we need to make sure that we continue to maintain that integrity.
Yeah.
So that
it just seems like when you have the oversight hearing tomorrow, we're going to hear what Chief of Police Steve Ignacio has said on this show already prior, that when it comes to, administrative investigations, internal affairs investigations, he doesn't have that authority to go in and do what Senator Talahi was asking in terms of this administrative investigation, to go into customs, to go into, the judiciary, to go into the port and do that. But then you have this letter that the AG wrote to Speaker Talahi, and Chief Ignacio had also said on the show that what he does have the authority to do is conduct when a crime is committed. But then that's as far as he went, and then the AG said we're conducting investigations as it relates to the Mark Mayo case. So I'm not sure if we're just gonna see that tomorrow, just replay during the oversight hearing.
And you are going to see that replay of that tomorrow, and there's probably going to be more questions asked, along those lines to be able to clarify that, a little bit more. Okay. And remember also this hearing is not limited just to my questions. This hearing is also open to my other colleagues who also have interest in this area. Now, their focus on this thing may be more specific, or in some cases broader than where I want to take it. Start with first. Right. Where it goes from there, a lot of times too, it comes from the questionings, the other questions that some of my colleagues are going to have. That said, though, is that recognizing too that there still needs to be some parameters so that we don't cross that line of interfering in ongoing investigations. So I'm going to have to be very keen and very sharp in listening to it and trying to keep it into that area. Once again, the last thing in the world I'm going to need is based on the information that is provided, that the next day that there are subpoenas being handed out. By how much more do you know? And I'm talking from the side of the legislature. Now, the ones that are going to sit at the panel, if it is exposed that, that they do know more, not so much that can hinder it, but as a participant in it, then they've got some things to answer. And so we'll see where, like I said, it's not going to be just restricted to me.
Right.
I'm just holding the fort. I know that some of my colleagues have already talked to me and said, well, I'd like to know about this. And I said, well, you know what? Come to the hearing and you can sit down too.
What about just communication from the public?
Sorry, guys. We're KUAM FM, Agotni, Guam. Our multimedia broadcast on the radio side is on the Breeze, 93.9 FM, where your go-to jam's always on the way. Viewers on KUAM TV, thank you guys so much. It's been a blast. There's a lot of great programming coming up, or you can jump on our Facebook live feed or the radio or Docomo audio stream on Channel 10, where our interview with Senator Frank Blas, who is the Public Safety Vice Chair, will continue. Viewers on KUAM TV, my name's Chris.
I'm Sabrina.
Estadios! Bye. And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, Sabrina Salas-Manzanani.
Senator, since the word got out and since you were tasked with taking over, oversight responsibilities with respect to just this particular issue with the Guam Police Department and the allegations that were raised in the federal cases, has anybody in the community come forward, providing additional information or expressing concerns that they want addressed while you take over this issue?
Yes, there have been, they've said that they would be providing me the information so that they can basically validate some of the concerns that they have. I'm still waiting for it. You know, that said, is you know, this is such a profound and a very controversial issue that maybe one oversight hearing is not going to be enough. Maybe as a result of this hearing, there are going to be other questions, and other concerns that need to be raised in the legislative forum that would warrant a continuation of it. I've already personally, I think I've already seen that this is not one issue that, okay, well, let's get together for one late afternoon. Let's talk about this. Okay, everything's fine and good. Okay, bye. Thank you very much. No, I unfortunately, I'm already anticipating that we're probably going to have to have at least another hearing for anything to catch up on information that is probably going to be requested and if time is going to be needed to provide the answer. So I want to provide that forum, to have that forum, so they can bring it back. Well, I tell you, one of my frustrations is a lot of times you go to hearings and then, you have somebody says, thank you, good question. I'll get back to you on this. And then after the meeting, you can't find them, and you never get that information. So I think that if it says, okay, this information we've asked for, all right, we're going to schedule another hearing, another meeting, so that that'll give you time to go get that information and bring that back to us. So
I feel like you're talking about that port oversight hearing.
I think what's going to be interesting is that since you're the oversight chair, you have experience. You are a former police officer, so when they come to the table, it's like you already know. Like, let's quit playing. Just give it to me straight. I've been in your shoes. So what's really going on?
Yeah. yes, and I've been through the process of, for the purposes of investigative integrity, keeping that information, not sharing that with my bosses yet. Eventually, obviously, that I do. And I've been scolded, for lack of a better term, for holding back on giving them that information. And I understand, because they've got a larger responsibility of making sure that that the officers, all of the officers are clean. But there are times that in order to be able to prove that this officer was dealing drugs while on duty, unfortunately, you got to be able to try to do the drug deal while they're wearing the uniform or while they're on duty, to be able to prove that case. And that's the stuff that we need to, you can't accuse somebody of doing something and then not have the evidence to show that they were doing it in that fashion. And there's that fine line that you got to worry about, and that's an operational worry during the investigation, and that's a worry to have to try to explain to the community afterwards. I've been there, and I know, so I know what it's like.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Senator Blas, for coming on. Good luck during that oversight hearing tomorrow.
Yeah, and please, Christian, if there's any information that you'd like or that you were want to know more about, feel free, please, text it to me, give me a call.
Okay.
And we'll make sure that we'll find we'll find a way to be able to get those things answered.
All right.
For you.
Thank you.
Because
Thank you, Senator.
All right.
Alrighty.
All right.
Take care.
Stay
Thanks a
safe.
lot.
I'll go on. Good morning.
Yeah. So that oversight hearing with the Guam Police Department is scheduled for Wednesday, tomorrow, 4:00 in the afternoon, and you can watch that on the legislature's YouTube channel or on their TV channel.
It's
I don't know
812.
what channel.
It's one of the high
112 or something
Right.
like that. But it could be different on your.
Right. It's